Welcome to the Haymaker MMA Show with your hosts, Tanaay and Ian Wall.
December 4th, UFC announced that Yoel Romero has been released from his contract. And then Dana White comes out and says in his press conference that there's going to be 60 more fighters that are going to be cut from the roster. And then after the last pay-per-view, I think after the last event, a reporter asked him that why is there going to be 60 fighters cut this year? You said you're going to keep all your employees, you're going to treat your fighters well and all that. And then Dana said something really important. He was like, you know what? We do this every year. Every year after certain events or like certain, things that happen, someone gets cut, and that's more periodic than usual. But 2020 has been such a fucked up year with a pandemic and so many fights being canceled. They've had to have those fighters on the roster so they can be replaced. So he has about 500 or 600 fighters on the roster right now, and normally those 60 would be cut like maybe every 2 months or every month or something like that. But they have to do all these at the end of the year because of the pandemic. So Dana's not doing anything super unusual. It is a little unusual because it's 60 in one shot, and also people are also speculating that he's gonna try to cut those older fighters like Yoel, who've had good contracts, been in the UFC, had maybe 10, 15, 20 fights, and they're getting paid well, so you can save up on some money. So that's just a little background. And now Ian and I are going to get into like the fighters who could be cut maybe after what has happened to them this year, or maybe if they lose maybe one fight and they could just be cut because of their current situation, like back-to-back losses, missing weight, getting knocked out too often, being too old. So whatever the reason is, I think Ian's got a list, I've got a list. I'm sure some of it will match, but we'll just break it down for you guys.
Absolutely, yeah. And first and foremost, how the fuck are there 600 fighters on the goddamn roster?
About 600, yeah.
Yeah, and just doing a little research, seeing how many what people are making money wise and stuff. I was like, Jesus, there are so many goddamn people on here that only 60 fighters. Like that totally makes sense. You don't perform in the NFL or whatever. You get traded, or people try to figure out your contract. You make less money and you get benched or you get cut. And it's the same deal in the UFC. I think it should be that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every sport, like NBA, you go to the fucking the Gatorade League or whatever.
The G
it's
League,
called.
right? Yeah,
the G League.
Yeah, so totally justified
it keeps
in the
happening. Yeah.
totally justified in the world, in the UFC world or anything. It's a machine. It's a business, and the best fight. And unfortunately, some of these guys, are making big bucks and haven't really been winning recently. So I'll start off with my first three that I think are potentials to get cut. One guy just fought recently in Marlon Moraes. So a couple things that I took into consideration here is how much money people are making and how much of a draw that they're bringing in with them. So Marlon Moraes coming off of technically a 4-fight skid if you count the win over Jose Aldo as a loss, right? And he's got a career earning of $2.5 million in the UFC. And he's a flyweight. He hasn't been bringing in the most, eyes or anything to his fights. It's been more his counterpart that's brought the attention or brought the, money into it. So I think we could be looking at a Marlon Moraes cut sometime soon.
So I had Marlon in my bigger list of maybe 13 to 15 names, but I didn't give him in the top 10. Just because he can still be exciting, and he's lost to all the top guys. But he was in the big 15 for exactly the reasons you say. That dude, he's lost like his last 4. And the last one, he got knocked out by a jab, basically. He was stunned by a jab, which is unusual in a fucking bantamweight fight. Like, if a heavyweight is doing that to you, yeah, it's going to happen. But if Rob Font is doing that to you, that's not a good thing. No offense to Rob Font. I love him in the New England Cartel, but that just didn't look good at all. And
yeah, hey, I'm a new believer in Rob Font, but yeah. I agree. Any jab, especially at that weight, to be put down like that is not a good deal. And he's 32, so he's on the back end of the pendulum. So
yeah, and I think he can be a champion at like another promotion too.
Oh yeah, he'll run through some people.
He should take if he gets caught, he can get money from anywhere else, or if he decides to leave or whatever. So he'll be okay. All right, so I have Junior Dos Santos at number 1. He's 36 years old, number 11 ranked heavyweight. He's lost his last 4 fights. All have been knockouts, man. You can't be getting knocked out so many times at heavyweight. It just fucks you up. And I love Junior. I love everything he's about. He's so positive, so nice. He used to be a champion, and he used to fight so well too. He used to be the guy knocking people out, and now he's getting knocked out. I love what he does pre-fight. He starts singing with the schmo or whatever he's doing. I enjoy all of that. But I think it's time for him to go, man. I think he should retire, even not go to another organization. I think he has plenty of money. He's fought for so long, been a champion. So, I don't know, dude. Too much damage. It breaks my heart, but Dos Santos got to go, I think.
Dude, he makes bread. He makes so much money to fight also. And, big respect. The respect takes you a long way, but like we were saying at the beginning, at the end of the day, you gotta perform. People do tune in to watch him, but with all these young guns, and we gotta breathe some new life into the heavyweight division, and they're just paying JDS way too much to be performing the way he is.
I know. He's getting hurt too much too, man. It's just sad. It's becoming almost like Anderson. Like he was knocking people out. Good. Yeah, he was knocking people out, and now he's getting knocked out, so that's not good. All right, who else you got?
So next up on my list, here's a surpriser, but I think it's a gem, a diamond in the rough here with Carlos Condit. He has been making a good amount of money. He's got racked up close to $2.5 million from the UFC. He's 2-6 in the last 6 years. 2-6 in the last 6 years. I think he had like a 5 fight skid, and maybe even a 6 fight skid. But he's 43 years old also, and he's making good money every time. He doesn't fight too often, but when he does, he's out there making good money. And I think it's time for Carlos Condit to get the boot somewhere. So much respect for him.
Yeah, but you took the money thing really to heart, huh? You're just looking at all their salaries and everything to cut them off for the most part.
Well,
but I mean, you're also looking at the and everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say, combine that with their age and their loss streak. I think, because what else are you gonna cut the guys for? You don't like them or whatever, even though they're making money. It's the old guys that aren't performing anymore that are, because they've been in it for so long. The way all the contracts are structured, after you get, these guys have like 25 fights in the UFC, making $190,000 just base, and then you get the winning bonus, or some of them have the pay-per-views, and some make even more than that. So
absolutely, and like you said, it's with every sport, man. Like
exactly.
Even in soccer, like all the good players from England and Spain and Europe or whatever, wherever, like David Beckham makes his money and comes and plays in America. So you gotta get them voted somehow,
And you look at the World Cup, and it's all 18-year-olds and 22-year-olds, and then the next time they're out.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'll give you an argument for that. A good one I think I have for you.
Sure.
I thought about Condit and I thought about Matt Brown. So luckily they're fighting next. Whoever loses, get him the boot.
Interesting, yeah. Loser goes home.
Because they're both legends. I'm a big fan of both of them. They're dogs. They come to scrap. They want to knock each other's heads off all the time. And whoever loses, unfortunately, got to go, man. Like, it's sad, but it is a business at the end of the day.
Yeah, this whole list was a tough one for me, because I don't mean any disrespect to any one of these guys, because they're all goddamn legends and were killers in their prime, but it's just the way she goes.
For my second one, I'll just go Robbie Lawler, bro. The dog, the former champ. Number 14, he's lost the last 4. And he's only looked okay or good in one of them. He lost, I think, all 4 by decision, maybe one submission against Askren. And that's the only fight he looked good in. He slammed Askren and beat him up a little bit. But he's just not looked the same since that Tyron Woodley loss, He lost his belt, and then he's just gun shy. I feel like he's fought some tough guys, but still he's just not the same at all. And UFC had cut him before because he was on that kind of a roll at like 185, I think, back in the day, like way back in the day.
He was real young. Yeah,
he came back and then got the 170 belt. Absolute killer. Everyone was scared of him. I loved when he fought like that. And then I'd say maybe give him one more fight, because he was supposed to fight Perry. Fuck it, fight Mike Perry. Whoever loses gets cut. That's another one of those. And Perry's on my list too, because he's so he missed weight by, I think, over 4 or 5 pounds.
No way they cut Perry.
I don't know, dude. Outside the octagon drama, and that's what I'm saying. He's lost the last 3 of his 4. He's been knocked out in a couple, and he took a beating against Dirty Bird. And Dirty Bird's an old dude, and you can't be losing to him when you're the up and coming guy like that.
Yeah.
So I think Lawler against Perry, Whoever loses that one, because they have some bad blood, loses that one, cut him. And I know Dana said that, I like Mike Perry, super entertaining, he brings a lot of attention and this and that. But dude, he fucks up a lot, man. Inside, outside the octagon. Like, he's entertaining, but he fucks up.
Yeah, I forgot about him punching that guy. You're right. That is a liability, especially when when you're not winning. Exactly. I just think of how many more casual fans know about him or know his kind of social media drama. And I think low key sometimes UFC likes that. But you're right. That is a liability.
It brings the eyes to you, and I also try to keep this list as popular people as possible. So people know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like this guy has a name, or this guy's been a former champ, but unfortunately, time to go. All right, you got another.
I'll give one. Yep. So my third one on the list here is the one I think fits the bill also. Tyron Woodley. Looks like he's had his soul snatched. A couple of factors in here. Looks like he had his soul snatched after he lost his belt. And coming off of, I think it was 15 straight rounds of just getting destroyed by Kamaru, Colby, and then Gilbert Burns. Yeah, and Gilbert Burns is a beast too, but you come off of being supposedly calling yourself the best welterweight champ of all time, and then getting dominated hard by Gilbert Burns. He's made $5 million or $4.5 million, sorry, in the UFC. He's 38 years old, and like I said, he's 0-3. And I think most importantly is, he had all those qualms and fights with the UFC and Dana White. And when you're champion, sometimes that shit flies. But when you're getting buried for 15 straight rounds, doesn't fly as much. And Dana remembers that shit. He's a man who holds a grudge. So I think he might be seeing the boot.
Yeah, I can remember Dana saying so much, like Tyron just shot himself in the foot and all those things that he's not happy with him.
Just hating
even
on
when
him.
He was his champion, which
exactly.
is hilarious. And yeah, that $4 million that he earned, that is without pay-per-views because they don't let you see that. How much share they get as champions, and he fought 5 title fights, maybe 6. So he's made plenty of money for sure.
Yeah, what did he make off of his pay-per-view? Maybe it's up to $5 million. He didn't sell any of those pay-per-views, so I'm not a big T Wood fan, so I'm hating too. But
I gotta respect his hustle and everything, but dude, he got too Hollywood after, I thought. Too TMZ and whatever. Like, whatever Colby said was kind of right.
The oldest trick in the book, fell victim.
And yeah, I had T Wood in my 15 list, not my 10. I couldn't break him down. It was just that the competition he's faced is too stiff to judge him upon his losses so much. But he is getting old. I don't know. I think he's 37, 38 maybe. Doing it for a while. But yeah, he's taking a beating, man.
I think Dana wants his ass gone.
I think, Dana does want his ass gone. Yeah. Next, I got Jeremy Stephens.
Interesting.
Yeah, 33 UFC fights or something like that. Over 30, let's say. Dude, I was counting on Tapology, but I might have counted maybe 1 or 2 wrong. So Stephens is the number 8 ranked featherweight fighter in the world. 34 years old. He's had over 30 UFC fights, like I already said. He's lost 4 out of the last 5 and 2 knockouts, including that Calvin Kattar elbow. And he also missed weight by 5 pounds in his last fight, bro. I don't know. He's ranked number 8, which is pretty high in a tough division at featherweight. There's a bunch of killers there, and I think he's just being used as a stepping stone every single time now. So if you want to give him another fight, I got a fight for him. Fight Edson Barbosa. I don't think Barbosa should get cut at all. He's doing fine. Fight Edson Barbosa. Let Barbosa climb one above you. Have that 1 loss, and then, sorry, Jeremy Stephens. I love your aggression. You can fucking put on a show anytime you want. But it's just not happening recently. He's looked slow, and he's not the same dude. But imagine 30 fights against people who are actual killers,
Unbelievable. Gotta chip away at you.
People have 50 fights and shit in their career, but it's like not more than 15 or 20 in the UFC. Like 33 is a lot, man.
Unreal. And yeah, I was thinking about what you're saying, looking back at his record here. He's definitely been a notable win for so many people. You're looking at Calvin Kattar, right? Yair Zabit, Renato Moicano, so many people. Exactly. So yeah, I think that's a good one. So next one's a guy I just lost recently, in Ovince St. Preux. 37 years old, low-key been making a pretty penny also with racking up a cool $2.7 million out of his like disclosed earnings, which is a good chunk of change, dude. When you think of somebody like OSP, he's 6-6 in the last 3 years, and he's 1-2 in the last 3. He's getting old, and he's got that style that like he looks like shit, and then he KOs somebody.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, you still look like shit, and when you lose, that's the what you're kind of more remembered by, and as you rack up more of those losses, people start remembering you more like, or not remembered like that's your legacy, but when the matchmakers are thinking about should we keep this guy or not, I think OSP is in some danger of losing his job also.
Yeah, so after his last fight, everyone was talking about it even more, his lethargy in the octagon. He's strolling, but yeah, he might crack you with a head kick, but he also might just not defend himself and get knocked out like he did last time. You know, yeah, OSP's a good one for sure. I didn't really think about him. And then when you said it, it was in the back of my head. Yeah, he is kind of like, you know, lethargic in there. And
he's been around forever too,
yeah,
dude.
If he leaves, I'm gonna miss those Von Flue chokes and some head kicks or whatever.
Yeah.
I enjoyed them, but yeah.
If you get caught in a Von Flue choke by OSP in 2020 or later, you need mental help because that's fucking ridiculous.
In the UFC, sure. But
unreal.
Maybe somewhere else.
Maybe on the street, yeah.
Maybe somewhere else.
All right, who you got next?
Next I got the winner of the first TUF Ultimate Fighter, Diego Sanchez. He fights at welterweight. He's 38 years old. Dude, he did great in his career, especially early on. He was a fucking dog. Like, I didn't watch like his fights in person, but I've seen a bunch of highlights. I've rewatched his previous fights. He's beaten some big ass names, you know. He's no joke, and the company loves him because of what he did at TUF, how he acts. He's like a straight up dude and everything, but dude, he's gotten beaten up, man. He has some serious brain damage. You can just see when he's talking. You can just see it when he's talking, I meant. But bro, I think it's time for him to retire. I'm sure he's made a good amount of money too. Like, he's won the first ever TUF. That was a bajillion years ago.
Yeah, unreal.
Like, I didn't look at the exact numbers like you did, but I'm sure he has made a pretty penny. And now, dude, he lost 2 out of his last 3. One was a DQ where he got cracked, bro. He was sitting down.
He was getting fucked up for the whole.
And then he got kneed in the head just to put,
cherry on top.
Yeah. But yeah, and then he has a new fucking coach, Joshua.
Oh my god.
So whoever hasn't seen the video of Matt Serra and Joshua Fabia talking back and forth, please check it out. Just watch the whole episode of Looking for a Fight with Matt Serra, Dana White, Dean Thomas. And I'll say Matt Serra's name first because he was the star of the show. So just watch that if you haven't seen it. It's hilarious. It's one of the funniest things I've seen that UFC has produced. But yeah, come back to Diego. I think too much damage, man. I think he's got to go. I love him. For
sure, man. Just to have the timestamp of winning the first Ultimate Fighter and still fighting and trying to be elite in 2020. He's 38, like you said, and I do have the exact number. At least his disclosed earnings is like $3.3 million from the UFC, which again is a good amount. Now, granted, that's not crazy because he's been around forever, so he wasn't making too much at the beginnings of everything. But it's racked up some good money, and between me and you, fucking, he's not going to see this, so what's he going to beat my ass? But I think that they're in a little bit of a partnership going on here. I don't know if they're sexually involved with each other, but there's definitely some sort of spiritual partnership.
Oh yeah, with the coach,
living in beds, kind of with a little nightstand in between it, and they sleep next to each other, but not in the same bed. And
I know,
some kind of deal like that.
Some dirty shit's going on.
All right.
It's not good for Diego. Bro.
Not good for Diego. No matter what, Diego's losing. But.
And yeah, dude, look at the last 2 of his 3 fights. It's against Michel Pereira, who's huge, and Chiesa, who's also massive, bro. They just he can't keep doing this, bro, because he also doesn't cut weight anymore, you know.
Yep.
So it's gonna be tough. All right, you're up, bro.
The next one I got is I just got clapped by one of my new favorite fighters, Kevin Holland. I got Jacare Souza in here. Still always dangerous, one of my most recent memories is when he put down Chris Weidman after Chris Weidman did a good job with him in the first little bit, and he's, for whatever reason, was very powerful on the feet for a little stretch of time there, even though he was a sick jiu-jitsu practitioner. I also saw a sick video of him when he won like a jiu-jitsu championship. He like dislocated his shoulder or broke his arm or something, and he tucked his hand into his belt or whatever and just like did it for like had like 2 minutes that he had to kill without getting outpointed or whatever, and won the championship with one arm was tucked into his belt.
Yeah, he is an absurd jiu-jitsu player. Like, you don't want to get on the ground with him like that.
Yeah, but to my point, that footage is like grainy as fuck. It's from like somebody's old VHS that they had to take off from like the Olympics from like '96 or some shit.
I'll check it out for sure.
Yeah, but so Jacare 41, close to $4 million in the bank from the UFC. 0-3 in his last 3, and 3-5 in the last 3 years. So Jacare.
Yeah, dude, I have Jacare on my list too, and I see him as a guy who's the same as Yoel. Like, you'd cut Yoel for the same reason as you cut Jacare, you know. Lost 5 out of his last 7. Sorry, he's 41 years old. I mean, that last KO was fucking bad, bro. He looked pretty dazed after that first punch, and then he just railed on him. Kevin Holland, one of the fighters of the year for sure in 2020, but I think Jacare has no chance of a UFC title, and I think when you lose that trajectory, you should just kind of stop. Maybe fight easier opponents, get paychecks, but he's fighting tough guys still, and that's not good. That's the same path that Yoel is going on. Neither of them are going to get a title shot anytime soon, and I'm sure Jacare will do fucking great at any other organization, but UFC's too dangerous for this shit. Alright, up next I got the pretty boy, Luke Rockhold.
I didn't even fucking think of Lukey.
Yeah, and I didn't think of Rockhold either, but here's what I was looking at a video about Dana talking about Diego Sanchez. I looked up Dana White Diego Sanchez on YouTube because I wanted to see what his opinion was after his last fight. Because 3 fights ago he was like, dude, this guy's my boy, like he still keeps coming and this and that, which everyone agreed with. No one said anything about Diego Sanchez. He's the man. So I was just looking for more context to the more recent ones. But then in that old one, the reporter asked Dana, what about Diego, should he retire? And then Dana goes, nah, fuck that, Luke Rockhold should retire. So I was like, yeah, man, he fucking should.
Everybody hates on Luke Rockhold. It's so funny, dude.
He kind of a dick, bro. Like, and we're all on the Bisping side of things too in life.
For
so.
Sure, right.
And yeah, he lost 3 out of his last 4, all 3 knockouts. And Blachowicz was bad. Bisping was bad. Yoel was horrible, dude. He literally flew. And then Dana White was like, yeah, this man has a legitimate other career. He's a minor for Ralph Lauren. I was like, yeah, that makes sense, dude. You can easily cut him. He probably gets a pretty penny from the UFC for being a former champ. And a well-known name outside the UFC, too. So they probably pay him kind of well. So why not cut him, man?
Dude, that would suck. You're like a model for Ralph Lauren or whatever, and you just get fucking hammered in the UFC 4 times, and now you're all jacked up and can't model anymore, and you just got cut because...
Nah, I think he'll be able to model.
I know, I'm kidding. But that would suck for... It always seems like the worst possible situation plays out for Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Lukey.
Yeah, but yeah, so Dana White gave me that idea, and I was going to say before Lionheart won his last fight, quick submission, if they would do a Luke against Anthony Smith, loser gets cut.
Interesting.
Because
I
think
think
Smith was like, I want to beat his ass. And so
I think he might win that one, but I think if Anthony Smith lost that last one, he'd be on my list right now too.
Yeah.
But
and that would be a tough one to sell too, because he fucking works for them. He sits on the podium and breaks down fights and all that. So I don't know, but good on him for winning. I'm happy. He's a good guy, good fighter too.
So then comes Shogun Rua, 39 years old, $4 million in the bank. Hasn't been doing bad necessarily in his win-loss, records in the last couple of years or last 5 fights or so. But old as fuck, doesn't really seem like he's contributing the most to the UFC, and he's been being paid pretty good goddamn money to fight every time. And he's starting to lose to guys like Paul Craig, who I don't really consider the most elite.
He's losing badly to them for being a former champ, and like you said, his record doesn't say so, but he's been beaten up a little bit. I thought he lost to Lil Nog. I have him on my list too, and again, Dana said that Shogun should retire, so maybe he'll cut him. Maybe he'll take the Anderson Silva route with him.
Yeah, maybe have a couple more fights in Bellator or somewhere else, but definitely shouldn't be showcased in the elite of the.
Nope. Because Paul Craig is not even in the top 10 yet at light heavyweight, and you can't be getting beat up that bad and expecting too many more chances to come your way. I definitely agree with Shogun.
And eating a 10-8 round on the feet by Paul Craig in their first fight too. Like, come on.
Yeah. It's fucking sad, dude. We have to talk about all these legends in such a negative way when they're all fucking champions. They beat up people like every day before, and now it's just annoying that we have to go in and be like, yeah, he might have to get caught because
you're not good at this anymore. Someone's got to do it tonight.
Yeah, fuck that. I wouldn't be the one to tell them for sure.
All right, who you got next?
All right, up next I have Stefan Struve.
Ooh, I was thinking of putting him on too.
The tall boy. He's only 32, man, but he's had 46 fights in his professional career. Lost five out of his last 6 with 3 knockouts, which is not good. And I think it's a good time to cut him because he's a popular fighter. A lot because of his submissions and a lot because of his height. No one's coming in the UFC at 6'11". Everyone asks, like, who's the fucking tall guy, bro? Who's the tall guy?
Right.
And, yeah, he's pretty popular. So I think if he leaves or if the UFC cut him, he could easily fit in Bellator 1 championship, you name it. He'll be perfect for them. But like, getting knocked out to Bam Bam Tuivasa, no offense to Tuivasa, he found himself in that fight. He did well. He's super entertaining also, but he got knocked out pretty bad in the first round. So Stefan Struve, I think his time might be up in the UFC.
Yeah, he's always been shinny too.
Yeah.
He's got that win over my boy Stipe, which is hilarious. It was so funny, but yeah, I agree. I think he can be successful in other, not as like a freak show attraction. Send him to Japan; they love that shit.
Yeah. But anywhere, dude. Like, honestly, he'll be great. But Japan, Singapore for sure. I'm down for that.
There's just enormous guys hammering it out.
Yeah, and just grabbing people's necks from anywhere.
They know a good show in Japan.
He's like Mrs. Incredible. I think I forget her name.
Mrs.
Just stretching and grabbing limbs.
Elastigirl, right?
Yeah. Elastigirl. Thank you for that.
Yep. All right, so my last one might shake it up a little bit, but just hearing some other people on the interwebs and shit talk about it definitely gave me a different perspective. But Tony Ferguson,
dude, you're hurting me, bro.
I know, and this is why I'm saying it, because ever since the last kind of year or so, he's been apparently behind the scenes having qualms with the UFC, with the employees of the UFC. Talking shit on Anik and Cormier and their stuff, and having problems with Dana. And granted, he's definitely has been underappreciated, underrespected.
He called Anik a little bitch, so come on. Can't be doing that shit.
Which is hilarious, so fucking funny.
So fun.
It's so funny, but yeah, just for those reasons and his last 2 performances, again, gets a lot of money. He's getting, I forget how old he is, but I think he's like 37. Something like that, or 36, which is kind of crazy when you think about Tony Ferguson's. Look that up for me real quick tonight. The Tony Ferguson age.
Yeah, I got you. I think he's 37. 37 in February. That's what I believe.
And you can see him when you can see it on him when he's fighting and just how he looks now and stuff. And there's no, I don't think Tony Ferguson's making a big run comeback at the UFC, and you're still gonna have to pay him big. You're not gonna give him a big price cut in his every time he shows up to fight. So, not saying it's the smartest. This is definitely my one that's, in the air. I would be surprised too, but I think it might be used to send a little bit of a message, but we'll see.
Yeah, and Khabib predicted that on the money, dude. When he was talking to Brett, like, before his fight against Gaethje, he's like, yeah, Tony Ferguson's finished. I would have loved to fight him. It didn't happen, but he's finished, bro. Like, he's taking way too much damage in his fights. Even when he wins, man, he gets hammered a bunch. But, dude, I love Tony Ferguson. I'm not giving him a cut after losing to Gaethje and Charles. Those are 2 good motherfuckers.
I know. But I'm just thinking of, I'm trying to put my feet in Dana White's shoes.
Too. Yeah, like, he has those problems and everything. Call Anik a bitch. Again, let me say that. That's fucking bullshit. Alright, I got one more guy. Dude, this is another heartbreaker. I was talking about this with my brother. This whole list. Shout out Neil Shah. And we were going over all these names. Like, he gave me Marlon and a couple here and there, Jeremy Stevens. And then one we talked about was Walt Harris.
Interesting. I don't think he's got the heart. You think he does? Dana to cut him.
I know, dude. That's why I'm saying I don't have the heart either, bro. But, dude, he's lost his last 2 knockouts. He hasn't been the same, man, since what it happened with his daughter. That was super heartbreaking, and it's obviously bullshit. Like, what's going on? But Walt Harris, I think him or Big Ben Rothwell, I think if they fight against each other, the loser should get cut. Because at heavyweight, man, it's just not a game like that. You're getting cracked. Your skull's just gonna be gone. You're gonna have so much brain damage. You're not gonna be able to take care of your fucking family or anything like that. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna keep getting harder if you keep taking all that damage. So yeah, Ben Rothwell or Walt Harris. Give me the loser of that. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to get cut.
Yeah, shit. I didn't realize how many fucking fights Walt Harris has had in the UFC.
Yeah, dude. And he was doing really well, which is what it is like.
Kind of, not really. He doesn't really have the best record at all overall.
Before the last two, he was doing good, I thought.
Yeah, well, he's got Alexei Oleinik KO, which is good, and the Sergey Spivak, which is okay. He had a split. Was that a split decision to Arlovsky, which is overturned for some reason? But no, he had popped for PEDs, didn't he?
Who did? Walt?
Yeah, I think he had a PED thing.
No way. Yeah,
I
Walt,
could be throwing shade, but
dude, I think one of them's got to go. Like, what's his name? Rothwell's a legend too. He's had about 40, 50 fights in his career. He's done well, but he got beat up against Tybura, and then Walt, on the other hand, also took a beating in his last 2 fights, so that's not good.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do it, but you're right on paper that they should, all emotion and storylines aside.
I know. And it's sad to say it, bro, but it's a fucking business. Like,
right.
Every day, like, people say in the media, like any podcast you listen to, like, yeah, it's a tough business. And it's true, bro. It's like former fighters that have even done well, they say it's a tough business too, so